Mr. Hawkins, did you copy from your neighbor's paper? The teacher asked, her voice echoing across the desks like snapping glass. It happened in seconds, but the moment would echo through every memory they shared afterward. The student's face froze. The heads of other kids turned. A hush fell. He sat trembling, not because he was guilty of cheating, but because in that instant he became the other. This is not just a story about shame. It's about the power of unseen brilliance, the cruelty of assumption, and what happens when the world refuses to look deeper. Stay with me. Keep watching. The truth waits at the end. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe, ring the bell, because this one hits differently. It was a Thursday afternoon in late October. The golden afternoon light filtered through wide windows of room 203 at Jefferson High. Warm, lazy, drifting across wooden desks carved with initials and doodles. The air smelled faintly of chalk dust and old textbooks. Teacher Ms. Carver stood at the front, clipboard in hand, stern expression fixed. A stack of test papers awaited her judgment. Among them sat Marcus Hawkins. He did not raise his hand. He didn't need to. He kept his gaze low. He pulled his shoulders in, slightly smaller than most, quiet but not invisible. Ms. Carver cleared her throat. Her voice carried the weight of authority. "Marcus," she said, pausing deliberately in front of his desk. Kids shifted uncomfortably. "You turned in a test that is identical to your neighbor's. Your answers match too exactly." Murmur rippled. Marcus straightened up, heart hammering. He looked up, his dark eyes wide, fear and confusion mingled. "I want to bring you up here," Ms. Carver said. She motioned towards the front. Marcus stood, hands at his sides, the stool at the front of the room looming like a stage trap. She held up the papers. "See for yourselves," she said, turning the papers toward the class. "Same mistakes, same answers. Marcus, explain." Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. The class watched. Some smirked, others shifted. One friend, a tall boy in the back, gave him a sympathetic glance. But that didn't matter now. Ms. Carver's lips pursed. "Cheating is not tolerated." She paused. "Marcus, you'll go with me to the principal's office after class." The rest of the day dragged like lead. Marcus left the room under a heavy silence. The hallway lights buzzed overhead. Lockers clanged as kids changed classes. He marched step by step, his mind racing. Why am I being blamed? Whereas the world had already decided for him. In the office of Principal Reeves, the walls were sterile. The ticking clock seemed loud. The principal, a stout man with rimless glasses, looked at Marcus's test paper and then at the teachers. Ms. Carver repeated the allegations. Marcus tried to speak. "Sir, I didn't cheat. I studied." His voice was small. The principal pressed a finger to his lips. "We'll investigate," he said. "But until then, internal suspension." Walking home that afternoon, Marcus felt the streetlights stare at him. The wind whipped leaves across the pavement like mocking applause. He shrank into his hoodie, mind worrying. "They think I'm a cheat." He entered his modest home, small living room, worn couch, family pictures on the wall. His mom, Mrs. Hawkins, greeted him with concerned eyes. "Marcus," she began. He slumped into a chair. "Mom, they think I cheated." Her face hardened with protective fire. "We'll handle this," she whispered. She didn't say they believed him. They just knew him. That night, Marcus went to his room. Bare walls, a single desk with a lamp. He flipped open his notebook. Pages of complex math symbols sprawled across. Integrals, prime factor trees, fractal sketches. He loved math, always had, but no one at school saw that part of him. As midnight approached, he realized something. If he doesn't prove his brilliance soon, this stain might follow him forever. He closed his eyes, the chalk dust smell of school still lingering in his mind, and drifted into restless sleep. What he doesn't know yet, the test papers contain far more than identical answers. They hide a pattern, and someone is paying attention. The next morning, the hallways buzzed with murmurs. Gossip spread like wildfire. "Did you hear about Marcus?" Apparently, he got caught copying. Marcus navigated the crowd quietly, eyes down, backpack weighed heavy not only with books, but shame. In homeroom, his friend Angela slid into the seat beside him. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Marcus forced a nod. She pressed a paper into his hand, a sticky note. "I believe you. Meet me after school." At lunch, Ms. Carver sat at the teacher's table with a coffee, texting on her phone. Her jaw was set. She believed she'd done the right thing. Black student caught cheating. Discipline needed. She was firm, following protocol she believed protected integrity. But she didn't know the full story. Later in algebra class, Mr. Patel stepped through the day's work, a difficult set of problems involving matrices and modular arithmetic. Marcus raised his hand once, then twice. He solved the first problem with ease, mounted the board, and wrote a meticulous solution in chalk. Neat, precise, elegant. The class watched. A quiet hush. Mr. Patel blinked. "Good job, Marcus." But the moment didn't erase the earlier shame, because the public shame was still fresh. After school, Angela led Marcus to the back of the library, to a corner where the lights were soft, books towering around them. She whispered, "I found something weird about your test paper." She showed him a spreadsheet on her laptop, every student's test result, each question tracked. She had coded a quick macro. She pointed at Marcus's test and his neighbor's. The two papers were identical not only in answers but in errors. But beyond that, the error patterns matched at a deep level. The same wrong method used twice, the same odd step, the same misnotation. "But," Angela drew in breath, "look here." She zoomed in. There were dozens of student papers. One paper belonged to a student named Paul. Paul's paper had the identical pattern too. Then two others. Then Ms. Carver's patterns bent around one group of students, all from similar benches. Marcus frowned. "What does this mean?" Angela's lips pressed. "It means the cheating allegation might be inverted. You're being set up." A cold wave of dread pulsed through Marcus. He looked at the rows of data. He looked at the library shelves, the silence of the late afternoon. And he realized the shame was no longer just about him. It was about a system. They walked out of the library together. The sun dipped low. Shadows grew. In the quiet parking lot, Marcus asked, "But why me?" Angela paused. "Maybe because you're different, because you solve problems too fast, because you don't fit the stereotype of someone allowed to succeed quietly." Marcus's heart thudded. He looked at his own math notebook again, tucked in his backpack. All those nights working, scribbling, exploring, invisible, now maybe visible. As they left, Angela's phone buzzed. A message from an anonymous sender. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." And the shadow behind the text, it wasn't entirely unseen. The next day, Marcus arrived early. He sat in the math lab, fingers tapping the surface of the table, mind racing. Mr. Patel unlocked the door and smiled. He noticed Marcus's early arrival. "Want to get ahead?" he asked. Marcus nodded. Mr. Patel pulled out a problem, a challenge he had created for advanced students. Prove that for any integer n greater than 1, n greater than 1, n greater than 1, the expression... He wrote it out slowly. Marcus's eyes lit up. He stood and began working on the board. He went step by step. First, assume the contrapositive, his chalk writing smooth and confident. The teachers and other students watched, some dazzled. The board filled. A hush in the room. When he finished, Mr. Patel's eyebrows shot up. He nodded approvingly. "Very good, Marcus." Later during lunch, a reporter from the school paper, Ms. Liu, came by. She asked Marcus about the test scandal. Marcus stared at her coolly. He said, "I didn't cheat. I solved mine independently." She pressed for a quote. Marcus hesitated, looked away, then said, "Sometimes people confuse fast learning with copying." That quote made it into the next edition. Whispering corridors buzzed. "He's a genius?" Some said, "Still cheating." The rumor machine roared. The shame warped into something new. Back at home, Marcus sat with his mom. He showed her the article and then opened his notebook. He flipped pages. Differential topology sketches, number theory explorations, unsolved problems he'd written down just for fun. She leaned forward. "You've been hiding this from everyone?" she asked. Marcus shrugged. "I didn't know how to show it." She touched his arm gently. "Maybe now is the time." That night, Marcus dreamed of chalkboards stretching into infinity, numbers dancing around him, his name on a banner in bright lights. But the banner ripped, the lights flickered, and the crowd turned away. He woke up sweaty. The memory lingered like a warning. In the darkness, someone stood outside his bedroom window. A figure, faint silhouette, taking a photo with their phone. It vanished before he could open his eyes. The next week, the disciplinary hearing was scheduled. Ms. Carver sat at the long table in the principal's conference room, stern and unwavering. Marcus sat across from her, his mother beside him. The principal, Reeves, presided. The accusation, cheating. The evidence, matching test papers. Marcus's defense, his own work, corroborated now by Angela's spreadsheet. Ms. Carver began, "I have been teaching for 20 years. I know when someone copies. The patterns we saw." She paused. Marcus looked at her, his eyes calm yet charged. He thought of his notebook, his endless nights of proofs. At a break, Marcus asked Reeves, "Could I show you something?" He pulled out his math notebook and opened it to a page he had prepared for this moment, a proof he had written the night before, unasked, unassigned. He explained it patiently, nearly whispered, showing his logic, his mastery. Reeves leaned in, adjusting his glasses, absorbed. The room quieted. Ms. Carver looked puzzled, uncomfortable. Then Angela's evidence was submitted. Those spreadsheets, the pattern of papers not just aligned with Marcus's, but extending elsewhere. The data implied that the matching test sheets could be the result of Marcus's answers being copied, rather than the opposite. The accusation flipped. Maybe the accuser was unwittingly accusing the brilliant student of what others had done. Ms. Carver looked at Marcus, his mother, the spreadsheet, the notebook. The pause stretched. Outside the window, clouds gathered, a low rumble of thunder. Ms. Carver's voice came out soft. I didn't realize." Marcus nodded. "You believed what you saw and what you thought you knew, but you didn't know me." Silence. Then Reeves said, "We will revisit all the test results. Marcus, you are reinstated pending investigation." Ms. Carver, thank you for your patience as we sort this." Marcus stood, his heart pounding. His mother squeezed his hand. The door clicked shut behind them. He exhaled. Relief, yes, but with it a tremor of what's next. That night he received an email. "Nice work. Now stop, or you'll regret revealing too much." The sender was unknown. School resumed. The gossip machine varied. Some apologized to Marcus. Others kept silent. Ms. Carver avoided his gaze. The math lab felt different. Marcus no longer just a student, but a figure conspicuous. In his notebook, Marcus uncovered something disturbing. Frequent patterns of similar test responses only appeared in students seated around his bench area. Patterns not seen elsewhere. Someone had been copying his work, someone near him. But who? He walked through the aisles one afternoon, scanning classmates, eyes mapping faces, looking for nervous glances, for someone avoiding contact. Angela observed him from a distance, her worry evident. At home, Marcus and his mom sorted through old test score sheets. They looked for history. This wasn't the first time. An entire cycle of copying, advanced students around Marcus being penalized while he sat in silent brilliance, ignored, unseen. He realized suddenly, it wasn't just a classroom incident, it was institutional. The school's expectation of failure from students like him, the ready assumption of cheating, the invisibility of genuine talent. Late one evening, Marcus received a flash drive in his mailbox. No sender. He opened it. Inside, spreadsheets, test logs, seating charts, time-stamped entries. It laid bare a system of misgrading, of suspicion leaning not toward talent, but toward stereotype. He stared at the screen. The files had his name in them as a key. Someone had tracked him, replicated the copying scheme around him, then pinned it on him. The truth was worse. The system made it easy. He sat in his dark room. Thunder rumbled again. The flash drive's files flickered like ghostly warnings. He could go public. He could confront. But he knew the stakes were higher now. Not just his reputation, his future. As he closed the laptop, the screen blinked one last time. A photograph of him in class, with someone behind him leaning over his shoulder, phone raised. He didn't recognize the person. Weeks later, an assembly was called in the school auditorium. The student body gathered. The principal stepped up to the podium with Marcus and Ms. Carver beside him. He cleared his throat. "We have new findings," he explained. After review, it appears the test incident was a misunderstanding. The data showed Marcus's work was original and advanced. Some students sitting around him duplicated his answers without attribution. A gasp rose from the audience. Ms. Carver's face reddened. She whispered to the principal, eyes watery. Marcus stood tall. His heart raced. Then the principal asked Marcus to step forward and solve a new problem live on stage. The auditorium lights shimmered. Marcus accepted, walked to the board. The hush deepened. He wrote with confidence, explained each step. The crowd watched, the air thick. When he finished, thunderous applause erupted. A teacher from the front row stood and said, "Why weren't you given the opportunity before?" The principal's face fell. Ms. Carver stood still, mouth slightly open. Afterwards, reporters swarmed Marcus. They asked, "First black student to get advanced math award? Did you feel you were punished for being good?" Marcus answered, "I was punished for not fitting your expectations, for solving and being quiet about it." But the victory felt hollow, because something lingered in his mind. The flash drive, the photo, the unknown person, the shadow that followed. That night, Marcus reviewed his math notebook yet again. He prepared for next term, but also prepared for something unseen. He opened an email, a single line. "You're on to something. Meet me at midnight. Room 309. His breath caught. Room 309, an old storage room in the north wing of the school, closed off for years. A trap? Or an ally reaching out? He paused. The school's janitor's key card flickered in his hand. He left his home at 11:45 p.m. and approached the silent corridors, hallway lights dim. At exactly midnight, the door to room 309 creaked open by itself. Marcus hesitated outside room 309. The hallway was deserted, lights low, the distant hum of the HVAC like a soft murmur of secrets. He placed his hand on the doorknob. The air inside smelled of damp concrete and old paint. He stepped in. The door shut behind him with a barely audible click. His flashlight beam sliced the darkness. Stacks of old lab equipment, dusty chairs, folding tables. The school's forgotten archive. Then a voice, soft but firm. "You're the kid they all underestimated." Marcus spun. A figure stepped out of the shadows. It was Angela, her expression determined. "You remember the photo?" she asked. Marcus nodded. She flicked on a lamp. She spread the flash drive's files across a folding table. "Someone's been using you as a cheat scapegoat so they can ride your coattails. You solved problems while others copied you, and the system blamed you." Marcus closed his eyes. "But why?" he asked. Angela pointed to the screen. "Because you're too good. Because you didn't act like a threat. Because you sat quietly in the back row, and no one paid attention until you were accused." She pulled out a sheet, seating charts, months of test logs, names of students, timestamps of copying events, the pattern undeniable. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. He looked around the room, the echoes, the silence, the forgotten corridors. Then a noise. The door behind them creaked open. Step. Foot. They froze. A man's shadow stretched across the threshold. A tall man in a janitor's uniform, eyes hard. "Thought you could sneak in here?" he said. Angela grabbed Marcus's arm. She whispered, "Let's go." Marcus didn't move. The man stepped in. His gaze flicked to the laptop. "That belongs to the school," he said coldly. "Give it here." Marcus held the laptop tight. "No!" The man advanced. Tension crackled. Marcus backed toward the door. Angela shoved a chair at the man. He swatted it aside. They bolted. The hallway lights swirled. Footsteps behind them. They burst into the night air. Cold, sharp. They didn't stop until the front gate of the school. They looked back at the building, silent, dark. The weight of what they discovered still heavy. Marcus's phone buzzed. Message, "We're watching. Keep running or you'll be silenced." And above, a single light flickered in room 309. The next day at school, Marcus and Angela kept alert. Whispers followed them. Ms. Carver avoided them. The janitor's presence felt ominous now. In math lab, Mr. Patel pulled Marcus aside. He said quietly, "I read the article. Impressive, but also troubling. If you're up for it, I can show you some advanced concepts not in the curriculum." Marcus nodded, accepting. They spent lunch in the lab. Mr. Patel opened a thick textbook on elliptic curves. "These are used in cryptography," he said. "You might be ready for this." Marcus's eyes widened. These were university level. He smiled. A spark. At home, Marcus and his mom sat down. He shared what Angela uncovered. His mother's expression turned to steel. "We need a lawyer?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "I want to finish school. I want proof." Late that evening, Marcus received another file. Video footage from the janitor's surveillance camera in the math lab. It showed his test being copied minutes after he turned it in. The copier lights blinking, faces obscured, but bodies there. He rewound, saw a silhouette leaning. He froze. The back of the silhouette's shirt had a small logo, a janitorial contractor's logo. He recognized it from a flyer posted in the school's maintenance room. He stared. The janitor, the soft voice in the storage room, the intimidation. The next morning, Marcus asked Mr. Patel quietly, "Can I use the lab after hours?" Mr. Patel nodded. They agreed to meet at 8 p.m. As the sun set, Marcus slipped into the school through the side door. The halls were silent, echoing his footsteps. He entered the lab. Mr. Patel closed the door. They switched on computers and began mapping the copying network. Students involved, copies made, dates, times. The screen glowed. The data shocking. They found patterns over a semester. The network expansive. The phone of the janitor. The papers disposed of in the trash. The emails flagged to the maintenance department. They traced money flows. Small amounts paid to students to copy the advanced test answers. The janitor acting as middleman. A sudden noise. The door handle rattled. Someone coming. They froze. Mr. Patel whispered, "Hide." Marcus ducked under a desk. The janitor's footstep on the other side. The door cracked open. Someone entered, flashlight sweeping across the lab. Marcus held his breath, heart pounding. The beam of the flashlight stopped right next to Marcus's hiding place. The door slid shut. A voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." The next day, the undercurrent changed. Marcus walked the halls like someone with a new purpose. He nodded at teachers, but his gaze was more focused. Ms. Carver's eyes flicked when she saw him. The janitor lingered near the library doorway watching. In assembly, the principal announced a formal investigation into copying and test misconduct. Students gasped. Marcus sat upright. He looked at Angela, who gave him a slight nod. This was the moment. Later, the janitor was placed on paid leave. The maintenance firm was contacted. The school board held meetings behind closed doors. Marcus's case became a catalyst. Other students came forward, quietly. Marcus still had to attend classes, still had to deal with lingering rumors. But the shame had shifted, from him to the system. In the math lab, Mr. Patel handed Marcus a certificate. "Outstanding mathematical achievement." The lab applauded. Marcus accepted it, palms sweaty, heart soaring. But his mind carried the darkness of what they found. That night, Marcus opened the flash drive again. A new file. "If you publish this, everything will burn." He stared at the words. The threat blurred. His phone rang. It was Angela. "Check your email." He opened it. A photo of his mother's car, parked outside his house, taken late at night. He gasped. He ran downstairs. His mom appeared in the doorway, worry etched. Marcus showed her the photo. She hugged him. "We need to stay safe," she said. He realized this isn't just about math or school anymore. This is about survival. The next morning, the school's front sign read, "Jefferson High closed for investigation." Marcus walked up the steps and froze. In chalk on the door, someone had scrawled, "You can't hide genius." If this kept you watching, you already know what to do. Subscribe, like, and tell us what you think in the comments because another story drops soon.